Good morning, folks. Good morning on this Sunday morning, February 12th. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. Today, as we were last Friday, we're standing alongside the Polderbaan, runway 18 right, which is currently the only runway in use for landings. What we saw land just now was Delta Flight 136 coming in from Detroit, and that was a A350 that was 2 years old, as you could have seen. Now, ready to touch down is China Cargo Airlines, a Boeing 777 freighter coming in from Shanghai, brand new, delivered in last August. And behind it, the first queen of the day. I'm going to look up the details in a minute. It is overcast today. Europe still under the influence of a major high pressure area, so no significant weather today. It's about 7 degrees centigrade or 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And what we see coming in right now is the first queen of the day. It is Cargo Lux Flight 2616 coming in from Nairobi. It's a 747-400 RF. 14 years old and was delivered in July 2008. Mike and Martin, good morning to you guys. Welcome to the show. What a sound. Best way to start the day. So, unfortunately, because of the high pressure, there's hardly any wind today, as was the case last Friday, which means we are at risk for multiple runway usage for both landings and departures. Earlier this morning, runway 24 was used for departures. When I checked just now, I saw that 18 left. Always have to think twice to say the correct name. Was also being used for departure. So Earlier this morning, as was the case Friday, runway 27 was also used for landings. At the moment, this is the only runway in use, but we are at risk for seeing dual runway usage for departures later today. Arrivals, sorry. So we'll have to see if all traffic is going to land in front of us, or maybe some will land on other runways. There basically isn't any wind at the moment at all. If you look at the water, you can see it's like a mirror. Jose, good morning. So, let me see. And let me turn around the camera. There is an EasyJet airplane ready to touch down. It is flight 28871 coming in from London Gatwick. It's an Airbus A319 and this plane is 15 years old. It was delivered in February 2008. And zooming out on flight radar a little, I can see that more planes are underway. I can see a triple, I can see a Dreamliner. So as I was saying, it's calm weather, no wind of any significance at least. It's overcast, but we are, despite the way it looks, we are under influence of high pressure at the moment, so no precipitation is expected for the coming days. If I look at flight radar, I can see a couple of planes coming this way. There's a 777 from KLM coming in from Johannesburg, South Africa, making its way over here, now flying over the west coast. KLM flight 749, a 7879 Dreamliner coming in from Cartagena, from Latin America, is also inbound. There's an Embraer from KLM. There's an Embraer, two Embraers from KLM. I can see an A330 from Turkish coming in from Istanbul. An A319 from EasyJet coming in from Copenhagen. Now, assuming that these are all going to come this way, we are going to see traffic pick up very shortly. For now, there's a moment of quiet. Here we can see the slew of planes that landed just now, taxiing towards the main platform area in the distance. The main platform area, of course, in the distance, as you can see. There's the A350 we saw land as first plane of the stream today, or at least I think that's the one. Now, unfortunately, I was too late to set up for the daily display of the firefighters. Is there anything visible over there? No, you can see they are parked outside. Not doing a lot at the moment. So yeah, this is the proverbial quiet before the storm. Andy, good morning. Has this airport a security fence around it or just a channel of water where you are? Well, in fact, most runways are guarded, are fenced by water. So this channel is the only thing standing between me and the platform area, so to speak. There are a few bridges that are fenced. As you can see over here, barbed wire. There's a fence, you can pass over it by car, but you cannot climb over it, or at least not without taking a lot of time. I'm not sure if there's also a camera hanging over there, so that security can come and catch you in the act if you try to cross over there. But yeah, if it freezes a lot and this channel of water is frozen, you can basically walk over without any hindrance, and most of the runways are only marked by channels of water. So in that respect, it is easily accessible if you choose to do so. But there are always vehicles patrolling, the Schiphol Scarecrows among them. Police is also frequently patrolling. You can see the cycling path here on the left hand side. They frequently pass by. In fact, right after I was done doing my first live stream back in the end of November, two policemen stopped by and we had a chat. They were asking what I was doing. They already saw me when I was testing before going live for the first time a couple of times. They were wondering what it was that I'm doing. So we had a nice chat, and in fact, after a good friend of mine who was already subscribed to the channel after I started the channel but wasn't shooting anything yet, they were the first two subscribers. So they were subscribers number 2 and 3 of the channel, in fact. So yeah, they patrol around the Schiphol area frequently, including these cycling paths that are not accessible for normal vehicles. Of course, vehicles like tractors are excluded because of all the farmland. You can also see, if I pan to the right, to the left, this is also agricultural land, hence the occasional tractor. Well, last Friday it was more than just occasional, but Johannes, Bibivo, Kuni, good morning to you all, and to all other viewers, of course. So there was a moment of relative quietness. Now we can see the first plane arrive. We can see the second plane coming in from the left. Traffic is picking up. The first plane is KLM flight 592 coming in from Johannesburg. It's a 777-300 ER. It's been airborne now for 10 hours and 45 minutes almost. The plane, 14 years old, was delivered in March 2008, and behind it is the Dreamliner from KLM coming in from Cartagena, the 7879, 9 hours of flight, 6 years old, delivered in April 2016. And more planes are coming after that. The two Embraers from KLM. I can also see the A330 from Turkish. Baby Peter, good morning. Toll, dass du auch wieder dabei bist. And you can see the reflection of the airplane in the water. That's how little wind there is. Look at that flare! A+ showmanship from the pilot, keeping the nose wheel elevated for such a long time. Nice display of skill. It's of course still early, but I already checked flight radar. The daily flight from Emirates, the A380 that we also saw land last Friday, is again today underway. I think it's expected around 12:30 to 12:50 local time, so in a few hours from now. As I was leaving home, it was still flying over Turkey. Obviously, I will be sticking around until the estimated time it's going to land, keeping the fingers crossed that, as was the case Friday, the plane will come this way, land in front of us. Still too early to tell. I'll have to wait and see. And in the meantime, there's a lot of other traffic that we can see. Haven't seen the Schiphol scarecrows just yet today. The bird controllers with their yellow pickup trucks. Meanwhile, you can see all the inbound traffic. They already have their landing lights on. You can see the first is already on the glide slope. And as the second one comes closer by and also enters the glide slope, you can visually see the angle. Lovely display. So coming in next, the first Embraer from KLM, coming in from Prague, flight 1352. The plane departed an hour and 10 minutes ago approximately. The airplane is 13 years old. It was delivered in June 2009. And the second Embraer, also an Embraer 190 from KLM, flight 1300, coming in from Toulouse, France, after a 1.5 hour flight. That's a plane that is 13 years old and was delivered in October 2009. Number 3 behind it is the A330 from Turkish, flight 1951. That's a flight number that some of you might recall. This is also the runway the flight back then was expected to land on before it unfortunately crashed before it was at the runway. Ooh, such a gentle landing. Another display. Piloting skills. Very gentle landing. Very gentle lowering of the nose wheel. Right, so another Embraer from KLM, an Embraer 190 as number 1. The Turkish A330 number 2 coming in from Istanbul is 7 years old, was delivered in March 2015, and number 3 behind it is an EasyJet A319 coming in from Copenhagen, Denmark, flight 27920, after an hour-long flight, and that's an 11-year-old plane and was delivered in 2011. Very quiet already as it passes by. Okay, let's turn around the camera for the Turkish A330. Now you can see the departing plane in the background. Runway 24 is in use for departures. Milan, good morning to you and to all other viewers who have in the meantime tuned in. Welcome to AMS Live on this Sunday morning, February 12th. My name is Boy. We're standing alongside the polar bound once again, as we did last Friday. Weather conditions haven't changed significantly, except that now it's overcast, but there's hardly any wind. The wind is variable, 2 knots, so nothing to speak of. The temperature is 7 degrees centigrade or 45-ish Fahrenheit. The first plane that we see now is the A319 from EasyJet, coming in from Copenhagen, 11 years old, delivered in July 2011, and behind it is Delta Airlines Flight 36 coming in from Orlando after having been airborne for 8 hours and 20 minutes. It's an A330-300, 6 years old and delivered in June 2016. Here's the EasyJet coming in from Copenhagen. Always a nice sight to see. When the reversers are active, and those 4 slots open up. So 3 planes visible at the moment. The first one being Delta Airlines Flight 36. Next is a Dreamliner from KLM coming in from Austin, and after that a Lufthansa A320 coming in from Munich. First up, Delta Airlines 36 coming in from Orlando. Quickly turn around the camera so we don't miss the next plane. Once again, 3 airplanes visible already having their landing lights on. So this is the Dreamliner 7879 KLM flight 668 coming in from Austin, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And 6 years old, delivered in August 2016 after having flown 8,200 kilometers. And after that, the A320 from Lufthansa coming in from Munich after 1 hour and 7 minutes. That's a 22-year-old bird, the Lufthansa A320. First, this Dreamliner. You can see the flapperon. That's the little bit just behind the engines, between the 2 big flap surfaces. Functions both as a control area of the wing and as a speed brake. After the speed brakes were lowered, so the things that moved up, that were standing up on the top side of the wing, you could see it go back down into the flap configuration of the rest of the wing. Meanwhile, we can see 4 planes with their landing lights on. So traffic is definitely picking up. This is the Lufthansa A320 coming in from Munich. already vacating the runway. And that's not strange, given that there is a lot of traffic inbound. So, coming up next is Transavia flight 6006 coming in from Salzburg, Austria. It's a 737-800, 6 years old, delivered in January 2017. For those of you just tuning in, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. It is Sunday morning. We are standing alongside the Polderbaan for arrivals. First up is KLM flight 1954 coming in from Zurich, Switzerland. It's an Embraer 190 and it's 11 years old. It was delivered in January 2012. And behind it is a flight from Tarom, flight 361 coming in from Bucharest. That's an A318, so very small plane. 16 years old, delivered in November 2006. Current runway, the runway we are standing at currently is the only runway in use for landings. But the wind is calm, there's hardly any wind. If you look at the water in the foreground, you can see it's standing still, which means that Schiphol can choose to open other runways for landings if it gets busy. The Doodle Man and ATC Suite, good morning to you and to all others who have joined in the meantime. So we'll have to wait and see if this runway remains the only runway in use for landings, or if perhaps at a later stage another runway will be opened. Earlier this morning they already opened 27, so that's the most likely candidate to reopen if a second runway for landings is being opened. You can see the A318, very small compared with the A320 and A321, very short fuselage. It's the same with the 737-700, also much smaller, particularly because you see so many bigger planes. It's always something to get used to. What we are seeing now is KLM flight 1926. That's a 9-year-old Embraer 190 coming in from Geneva and ready to touch down. You can see there's hardly any wind. All these landings have been butter smooth so far. And it's already vacated. Here once again 4 planes visible. They all already have their landing lights on. So that's quite a sight to behold. Tibor, good morning. Mario, good morning. First up is El Al flight 337 coming in from Tel Aviv. It's a 737-800, 14 years old, delivered in August 2008. Alright, let's quickly turn around the camera. More is underway. First plane that we are going to see land is KLM flight 1224 coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. It's a 737-800 and it's 11 years old. It was delivered in March 2011. And number 2 is going to be an A320neo from Pegasus coming in from Istanbul. That's a 2-year-old plane, was delivered in February 2020. After that, Transavia flight 6602 coming in from Innsbruck, Austria. 737-800 delivered in May 2016, so that's a 6-year-old plane. Keeping up the speed, making sure to vacate the runway in time for the next plane. Also, keeping up the speed on the runway. You can shorten the taxi time. This being the runway furthest removed from the main platform area. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the layout of Schiphol, if you look at the map, there are 6 runways in total, 5 big runways, 1 small runway, and the main platform area consists of 4 major runways and 1 small runway. And then there's a 5th runway that is lying to the northwest of the main platform area. It was built the latest, most recently, 20 years ago. That's the Polderbaan, the colloquial name for runway 18 right, 36 left. And that's the runway we are currently standing at. And ever since it was delivered in 2003, or finished I should say, it's been one of the main runways that are in use, together with runway 0624, also known as the Kaagbaan. Now if you look at the map of Schiphol and you see where the runway we are standing at is located, you'll understand that after having touched down here, they still need to taxi quite a significant distance before being at the gate. I can hear a helicopter. It's a police helicopter. There it is. Meanwhile, the next plane is almost ready to land, so let's quickly focus on that. But in case you guys were wondering, hey, is that a helicopter I'm hearing? Yes, it was. Alright, let's have a look. Next up is an A319 from British Airways coming in from London Heathrow. That's BA flight 430. That's a 22-year-old little bird. Was delivered in February 2001. Let's turn around the camera. You can see it approach. In the distance, number 2 is EasyJet 23012. That's an A320neo, also coming in from London, but London Stansted instead. Brand new, was delivered in October 2022. Behind it, number 3 is going to be KLM flight 618. That's an A330-200 coming in from Boston. That's a 16-year-old A330, was delivered in July 2006. Herbert Sandia, good morning. Good to have you back. Welcome. Welcome all other viewers to the stream. This is AMS Live. My name is Boy. And it is Polderbaan arrival action today on this Sunday. You can see the windmills in the distance, in the background. They hardly move. There's hardly any wind. Most of Europe currently under a big area of high pressure. So while it is overcast, no precipitation has been expected for today, nor is the wind expected to pick up significantly. Which is good, of course, for hearing everything properly, but a risk when it comes to runway usage of Schiphol. You can see the reflection of the airplane in the mirror-like water standing still. And if I zoom out, you can see in the distance, I can see at least 3 planes with their landing lights on already. Here is the Neo from Stansted from EasyJet. They've even put it on delivery. In case you were wondering, is this a Neo, yes or no? Okay. Quickly back to the A330 from KLM, coming in from Boston. As I was saying, it's a 16-year-old plane. And behind it is another A330 from Delta, flight 162, coming in from Minneapolis. And that's a 15-year-old bird, was delivered in July 2007. And behind it, 2 Dreamliners. So 4 heavies in a row. So don't go anywhere, folks. We are, of course, also waiting for the Emirates A380 Super. which is expected to arrive here around 12:30 to 1 o'clock p.m. local time. So hopefully by then this will still be the only runway in use for landings, as was the case last Friday. So that was the first of the two A330s, and after that two Dreamliners are coming up. The first Dreamliner is KLM flight 758, now number 2 for arrival. Coming in from Panama City, it's 78710 Dreamliner. 2 years old, was delivered in May 2020 and departed from Panama 9.5 hours ago. Behind it is KLM flight 644. That's its smaller brother, the 7879, coming in from New York JFK after a 6-hour and 15-minute flight, and that's a 6-year-old plane. Now quickly back to the camera. Ooh, a bit wobbly. It's odd. Not a lot of wind. That could have caused it. And the speed brakes are lowered. Okay, so it has vacated the runway well in time for the next plane. It's a Dreamliner, and there is another Dreamliner coming after that. And number 3 is KLM flight 736. That is a 777-300ER that departed from Willemstad in Curaçao 8.5 hours ago. It's a 9-year-old 777, 9 years old, delivered in May 2013. Big one from Panama City. (78710), biggest of the bunch. Now take notice of the length of the fuselage, because the next plane is its smaller brother, the middle of the bunch. 7879, coming in from JFK, New York. Then A777, coming in from Curaçao, and number 3 at the moment, Delta Airlines flight 178. That's another A330-300 coming in from Portland after a 9.5 hour flight, and that's a 7-year-old bird, was delivered in October 2015. Herbert asking if I have a moderator on the channel. I do not. Here you can see the reflection in the water. Still very calm. Now look at the length of the fuselage. This is the 900. A little bit smaller. Still a big bird, of course. Not as big as the 787-10, but definitely bigger than the original 787-8, which perhaps we'll see later. TUI operates 3 of them in the Netherlands. They were the first to have the Dreamliners delivered, and because they were earlier than KLM, they have 3. They did a sort of joke where the registration of the 3 Dreamliners in the Netherlands, all registered planes in the Netherlands start with PH, and they have TF next from TUI Fly, and the 3 Dreamliners from TUI the Netherlands have PHTFK, PHTFL, and KLM, as a sort of joke that they were the first operator in the Netherlands who were to receive the Dreamliner sooner even than KLM, of course our national carrier. So the 777 from Curacao, now making its way over here, is the A330 from Delta coming in from Portland. After that, an A320 from ITA Airways, and after that a 777 from KLM coming in from Toronto. Let's quickly turn around the camera so we don't miss any of the action. At the moment, by the looks of it, the Polderbaan still seems to be the only runway in use for landings. Checking the app, it says what runways are in use, and yes, 18R is still the only runway for landings, and there are 2 runways in use for departures, runway 24 and 18 left. That is still the case. So that's good news for us. It means that for the time being, all arrivals will land in front of us. We have front row seats for them. Silky smooth. So now there's an A320 coming in from ITA Airways, coming in from Rome, and after that we will see another Big Bird, another heavy. I can see that there's a heavy coming in from Sao Paulo as well, 777-300ER from KLM. There's also another ITA flight coming in from Milan, so it's an exchange of long haul, short haul. First up, ITA Airways flight 108 coming in from Rome. It's an A320 and is 21 years old, this plane. It's in the Alitalia livery. And the triple behind it coming in from Toronto, KLM flight 696. 777-200ER, 19 years old, delivered in December 2003. Now folks, if you want to help me reach more people like you who like content like this, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps to spread content like this to other aviation enthusiasts such as you and me. By subscribing to the channel, you can also turn on notifications, which means that you will get a heads up whenever I go live, so that when you have time for it, you can join the stream. In the meantime, we see the next airplane coming in, the 777. Well, that's a very quiet landing. Didn't expect that. They hardly use the reversers. Of course, nice that they're able to land without using the reversers that much, but you're missing a bit of the audio quality. Next up is ITA Airways flight 120 coming in from Milan after having flown for almost 1.5 hours. It's an A319 and it is 11 years old. It was delivered in June 2011. Behind it, KLM flight 792 777-300ER coming in from Sao Paulo after having flown for just over 10.5 hours, ready to touch down in a few minutes. That's a 6-year-old plane, was delivered in May 2016. banking to the left just before touching down. At least that's what it looked like to me. Lovely blue livery. Not as pretty as KLM blue, of course, but still very striking livery, instantly recognizable. Much better than the old livery of Alitalia that we saw earlier, although nowadays it's become a retro livery, so in that sense it is hip. Kirsten, good morning. Aus Deutschland. Viel deutsch sprechende Leute auch, die diese Stream gucken. Now we'll have to wait a little bit for the next plane to arrive. So much I saw already on flight radar. The next plane is turning final. It's KLM flight 1072. It's a 737-800 coming in from Manchester. 22 years old, was delivered in August 2000. After that is Air France flight 1030. That's the daily Embraer 170 coming in from Rennes, operated by Air France Hop. Then there is a Neo coming in from Air Malta, a 737 from KLM coming in from London Heathrow. Another Neo coming in from Geneva. So we'll have to wait and see what comes after that. The flight from Manchester, cannot yet see it. Can I see it on the screen? Yeah, in the distance, just about. Laila, guten Morgen aus Düsseldorf. Toll, dass du dabei bist. Willkommen. Thomas van Dijk. Good morning. Uit Antwerpen. Goedemorgen. J. Carlos from Brazil. Amon. Danke für die schöne Wörter. Tolle Aufnahme. Also, we're waiting for the first flight to arrive, which is going to be KLM flight 1072 coming in from Manchester after being airborne for almost 45 minutes. And then the Embraer 170 from Air France Hop coming in from Rennes. Also a short flight. Let me have a look. It's still an hour. So in my mind it was nearer by than Manchester, but apparently it isn't. A Neo after that, 737, another Neo. Now I can also see that a couple of planes are lining up to land at runway 27. So 27 unfortunately is open again for landings. Hey Victor, good morning from Greece. Nice to see so many people from so many parts of the world tuning in. So unfortunately, we have 2 runways open again. Looking at flight radar to the east of the Netherlands, I can see that there is a lot of traffic coming in from the east, so hopefully we'll see part of that. But I think a lot will also go to runway 27. Unfortunately, because there is hardly any wind, as you can see in the water in the foreground, means that Schiphol can easily open up other runways when it gets busy in terms of traffic. Now, the runway we are standing at, the Polderbaan, runway 18 left, is one of the 2 preferential runways of Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, together with runway 0624, the Kaagbaan. So that means that whenever possible, these will be used over other runways. So that means that this runway will remain open for landings today, most likely. Although with the prevailing wind, or lack of that I should say, they could also switch up the runway usage and use runway 06 for landings, for instance, and use this as runway 36 left. No, yeah, 36 left, 18 right. I'm always confused with left and right, so apologies if I make mistakes. But this runway can also be used for takeoffs later during the day, given that there's hardly any wind at the moment. For now, we're expecting this runway to be used for landings, and it will remain one of the runways in use throughout the day. That's for sure. Okay, so the first plane we see arrive right now is the Air France Hop Embraer 170 coming in from Rennes, and behind it is the A320neo from Air Malta, flight 394, coming in from Malta, of course. The Air Malta airplane, the Neo, is 4 years old. It was delivered in May 2018, and behind it is KLM flight 1002. That's a 737-800 coming in from London Heathrow. That's a 15-year-old plane. It was delivered in January 2008. If you're wondering, we haven't seen the Schiphol scarecrows today yet, the bird controllers. Unlike last Friday, when we've had several flocks of birds going about over here, I haven't seen them yet. So thus far, it's been a quiet day for the bird controllers in terms of clearing this part of the platform area. So no fireworks displays just yet. Here is the A320neo from Air Malta. So next up is the 737 from KLM coming in from London Heathrow, and number 2 is an A320neo from EasyJet coming in from Geneva. And that's a brand new plane, was delivered in December 2022, so only 2 months ago. We are also seeing the number 2 coming in. Number 1 is the A320neo from EasyJet coming in from Geneva. Number 2 is the Embraer 175 KLM flight 1516 coming in from Norwich. Departed half an hour ago, and that's a 6-year-old plane, was delivered in January 2017. And another Embraer 175 coming in after that, so that's number 3. KLM flight 916 from Southampton. It's a 5-year-old plane, was delivered in July 2017. Then an Embraer, an Airbus A319 after that. More about those planes later. First, the Neo. Now at the moment there's a lot of small planes about to land, and a big chunk of that is now directed towards runway 27. For now, over here we see 2 Embraers and an A319, and most likely number 4 after that is another A330 from Delta coming in from Atlanta. First up, the KLM City Hopper flight 1516 from Norwich, and after that the flight from Southampton. For those of you who have just tuned in, welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy and we are standing alongside the Polderbaan on this Sunday morning where arrivals are taking place. You can see it's overcast. Most of Europe under the influence of high pressure, so there's no significant weather. There's no wind of any significance. You can see it in the foreground in the water. Water is standing more or less still, so that's good for audibility of the airplanes. Not so much when it comes down to runway usage. At the moment 2 runways are in use for arrivals. The runway we are standing at and runway 27. The upside is this is a preferential runway, so whether for landing or for departures, this is typically one of the runways that, if possible, is being used. In terms of the temperature, it's approximately 7 degrees centigrade, 44, 45-ish Fahrenheit, and despite it being overcast, no precipitation has been predicted for today. In fact, later today they say it might even get sunny again, or at least a bit sunny. Maybe the cloud deck will break open a little. While we are watching all the traffic landing over here, we're also waiting for the daily Emirates A380 Super, which last Friday we were fortunate enough to capture. Hopefully we can do the same today, so fingers crossed. So the next plane now turning final is Delta Airlines flight 74, coming in from Atlanta after having flown for almost 7 hours and 45 minutes. Now on its last few miles, ready to enter the glide slope. The airplane, 5 years old, an A330-300. It was delivered in March 2017, and it has flown for almost 7,000 or just over 7,000 kilometers, so that's I think 5,000 miles or so. Just visible in the distance. Meanwhile, police van is coming this way over the cycling path. In the left hand of the screen you can see them patrolling, making sure that nobody is doing things they're not supposed to. I was mistaken, it was not the police, it was the marechaussee, as we call them. I think officially it's part of the army. They also do the security at the airport and also around Schiphol. To be honest, I don't know if there's an English equivalent for that. It's kind of special service. It's not police, but it's also not military, but they do fall under the military, I think, officially. Maybe somebody can chime in who is better informed about this kind of stuff. Another buttery smooth landing with one of the many A330s from Delta that we see over here. Now the next plane coming up looks to be Iceland Air Flight 500, coming in from Reykjavik in Iceland. A 2.5-hour flight. It's a Boeing 737 MAX 9. And it's a 3-year-old plane. It was delivered in March 2019. And let's see what's up next. Well, I can see that there's a flight coming in from Berlin, from KLM. That's of course in the east, towards the east of the Netherlands, and it is making its way over to the Polderbaan. So apparently runway 27 is closed again in the meantime. So that's good news for us. But after the MAX 9 from Iceland Air, most likely number 2 is going to be KLM flight 1422, a 737-800 coming in from Birmingham. Let's turn around the camera. The Iceland Air MAX 9 already has its lights on, so you can see it in the distance. Marcus, good morning. All other people who have joined us in the meantime. Dennis Averman, looking from Nebraska. Angela W. Witteman. YouTube fan, good to see you again. Janu Graver. Phil Tovey, of course. So many people, so many chats in the meantime. Hutsbier, good morning. Good to see you again. I remember seeing you before. Sorry if I missed any other people who announced that they were back. Sometimes the chats go by so quickly I have to scroll back in the spare moments that I have while streaming. It's good to see everybody back. A lot of familiar names. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. If you like what you're seeing, consider subscribing to the channel. Help me reach more people like you and me who like content like this. Your subscription helps the YouTube algorithm to promote this stream to other people who like aviation streams, such as you and me. It also allows you the opportunity to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live, you receive a heads up, so that when you have time and are into it, you can watch and join us as you are doing today. So it's calm, it's overcast, there's hardly any wind. You can even tell by the exhaust gases from the factory in the distance. I think that's an electricity. Yeah, what's it called? A power plant from Nuon, one of the utility companies in the Netherlands. It's in the west of Amsterdam, Westport area. You can see the smoke. It is not going up straight exactly, but as you can also see in the water, there's not a lot of wind. So this is the MAX 9 from Iceland Air, coming in from Reykjavik. Okay. When I was tracking the airplane, I thought my tripod was not going as smooth as I was expecting, but seems to be okay. Okay, well, let's have a look. There are a few planes ready to line up and land. The first one being KLM flight 1422, that's a 737-800 coming in from Birmingham. And that's a 15-year-old plane. Behind it is the flight from Berlin, also from KLM, another 737-800, flight 1822. That's an 11-year-old plane. It was delivered in May 2011. And number 3 is going to be Iberia Express, flight 3722, coming in from Madrid, A320-200, 20 years old, delivered in February 2002. So this is the 737 coming in from Berlin. After that we will see the A320 coming in from Madrid, and after that number 3 is going to be a KLM flight, Embraer 195 E2 coming in from Dublin. That's a 1-year-old plane. It was delivered in March 2021. Now I can see that one of the Dreamliners from TUI is also coming back. This is a Dreamliner from TUI Airlines Belgium. So it's not one of the three I mentioned earlier with the PHTF KLM registration. There's also a 777-300 from KLM coming in from Cape Town. That is going to come this way. Also a 777 from Bonaire. A few small planes looking to the east. Further out west. Also a 777 coming in from Chicago. So there are big birds coming up. Don't go anywhere, folks. It's a lot of narrow bodies for now, but the wide bodies are coming back very soon. And again, a plane banking left and right just before touching down. We've seen that before today. Makes you wonder if it's more windy than you make out to be over here. Now I'm noticing, yeah, a little bit of maybe a little bit more drag helps for a smoother pan. Last couple of planes, my panning was a bit jittery. Felt some unevenness in the movement. Maybe by increasing the drag a little, it becomes better. Recognizable silhouette with the engines being so big relatively to the fuselage. It's the Embraer 195 E2. Just a little less drag. Definitely was smoother than it was with the previous couple of planes. So we're waiting for KLM flight 1724, a very short flight, brief flight. It's a 737-700 coming in from Brussels. It's a 25-minute flight. 11 years old, delivered in May 2011. Number 2 is going to be TUI flight 383 coming in from Bonaire. 7878 Dreamliner that was delivered in January 2015, so that's an 8-year-old plane. Now look at the short fuselage. This is the 700. It's always interesting to see, because you're used to seeing so many 800s and 900s. Similarly with the Airbus A318 and 19, you see so many more A320s and A321s, but whenever you see one of those two smaller airplanes, you tend to notice. Very smooth landing. Nothing to fault. Oh, now referring to Spottersplatz Kaagbaan. Yes, I remember when I was small, my mom used to take me over there. It was before the Polderbaan was even built. Runway 0624, where there are freight companies at this moment. There used to be a Spottersplatz comparable to what is now at Polderbaan and also at alongside Buitenvelderbaan, although the one alongside Buitenvelderbaan also has a McDonald's, and that is something you don't have at the other places. You do have a place where you can buy some French fries and some ice cream in the summer over here at the Polderbaan, and you used to have that alongside the Kaagbaan Spottersplatz as well. Back in the days, you would see a lot more 747s and also trijets such as the DC-10 and MD-11. So 3 planes visible at the moment. The first one being KLM flight 958 coming in from Newcastle. That's an Embraer 190, 9 years old, delivered in February 2014. And behind it is Sun Express flight 944 coming in from Izmir, Turkey. It's a 737-800, 24 years old, delivered in November 1998. Number 3 is KLM flight 598 coming in from Cape Town, 777-300ER, 7 years old, delivered in February 2016. And there's another triple behind it, the details of which I will tell you later. First, back to the action. I think I might even have some pictures taken from the old Spottersplatz at Kaagbaan from Northwest before it went bankrupt. One of their MD-11s. Meanwhile, the first sighting of the bird controllers K2, Schiphol scarecrows. Although I haven't seen a lot of birds today. Maybe they're over there. Maybe the scarecrow will let off some fireworks. We'll definitely hear them with no wind at the moment. Always fantastic to see one of those 777-300s land. From the front and from the back they don't look that long, but if you see them pass by you can see how long that fuselage is and what a behemoth it actually is. So here's another one. This one coming in from Bonaire. It's a 777-200 KLM flight 765. This is a plane that's 15 years old. It was delivered in April 2007. Behind it is going to be an Embraer 195-E2 KLM flight 1154 coming in from Gothenburg. That's a one-year-old plane. It was delivered in February 2022, and behind it number 3 KLM flight 1230 coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle 737-800, 22 years old. Although not as long as its bigger brother we saw land just before it. The 200ER is also no small bird. So let's have a look at flight radar. We have a few small birds coming in. There's also KLM flight 1188 coming in from Bergen. That's going to land, and then we'll see KLM flight 612 coming in from Chicago, another 777-200ER. There's also a KLM flight coming in from Vancouver, an A330-200. So big birds are underway. Let's zoom out a bit further. I can see that the Emirates A380 Super has now crossed over to Germany from Czechia, Czech Republic. ETA 57 minutes. So hopefully by then this runway will still be in use. I'm definitely going to stick around for it. So fingers crossed. Hey. Flight radar is missing a queen. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Interesting, interesting. So the first queen of the day, and I wasn't able to see it on flight radar for some reason. So I have no idea where it's coming from. Let's quickly turn around the camera. I do feel some... let's see. My tripod seems to be going a bit bumpy. Don't know why. Wasn't the case earlier during the stream. Hopefully it will wear off. Yeah, so there's a 747 coming in. I have no idea. Elgin telling us Air China cargo. Well, we'll see soon enough. What is up with my tripod? Okay, this is going better. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience, people, but as you guys noticed, my tripod was going very shakily. I've tried to reduce the drag somewhat, see if it now goes smooth again, and it seems to have helped. Hope nobody has gotten nauseous in the meantime. Right, so coming up is KLM flight 1188. It's the Embraer 175 coming in from Bergen. Almost ready to touch down.
Is het pijn doet met jullie uitspraak? Ben je nog een stukje naar voren lopen waar ze wonen?
very smooth landing. You can see the windmills in the distance, still standing still mostly. Hey. Now let's come back. I'm trying to see if maybe increasing and decreasing the drag on my fluid head helps to get rid of the shaky movement we saw just now. Definitely something to upgrade in the future, this mount. But for now I'll have to make do with what I have. Let's see if following of planes has become smooth again. Seems better. Much better. Okay, well, hopefully things stay the way they are right now. So another Embraer, having vacated the runway. Now, coming in is KLM flight 612 coming in from Chicago O'Hare. It's a 777-200ER. It's 18 years old. It was delivered in September 2004. Seems to have resolved the tripod issue. Hopefully saying that out loud didn't jinx it. Okay, so that was the 777-200 coming in from Chicago. What's up next? First up is SAS flight 821 coming in from Oslo. After having flown for 1.5 hours almost. It's a 737-700, so it's a small one. 16 years old. It was delivered in January 2007, and behind it, number 2 is going to be KLM flight 682. It's a A330-200, sorry, coming in from Vancouver after having flown for almost 9 hours. That's a 16-year-old plane and was delivered in April 2006. Folks, if you're enjoying the stream so far and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. Help me reach more people like you and me who like content like this. By subscribing, the algorithm will promote this stream and others to people who watch content like this. It also allows you to turn on notifications so you get a heads up whenever I go live. the little SAS 737-700. Now quickly turning around the camera for the next plane. So that's KLM flight 682 coming in from Vancouver. As I was saying before, it's an A330-200, 16 years old, was delivered in April 2006. And what's coming after that, I cannot tell for sure. By the looks of it, KLM flight 602 coming in from LAX. That's a Dreamliner now approaching the coast. Still a few minutes out. There's no immediate traffic after this plane, as far as I could tell on flight radar. But that's not to say that no traffic is coming after this plane. For all the people who have joined us later, welcome to the stream. You can see it's overcast here. Wind is calm. There's a large area of high pressure over Europe. You can see the windmills in the back. They aren't spinning, or hardly. That's because there's hardly any wind blowing at the moment. The upside of that is that we can hear the engine noises good without any hindrance from wind. The downside is Schiphol can also decide to open up another runway for landings, as they have done earlier today. They've opened runway 27. At the moment, not a lot is going on just yet, so let's focus on the plane we saw land just now. Now vacating the runway, and still a long way to go. You can see earlier planes still taxiing in the distance. Let's have a look. That is over here. There's the SAS 737-700. And we can see the orange Pride 777-300 in the distance, the KLM special livery. Now, unfortunately, I'm unable to zoom in any further than this, but it's instantaneously recognizable, of course. To the right hand side of the screen, you can see that the SAS is almost at the main platform area. If you're unfamiliar with the layout of Schiphol, the current runway where we are standing at, the Polderbaan, the newest edition, is furthest removed from the main platform area. Hence, its dedicated control tower. There's also a control tower at the main platform area. That's seen over here. And you can guess that planes taking off or landing on the runway we are standing at cannot be properly followed by ATC from the tower over there. So at the moment it's a bit quiet in Dutch airspace when it comes to arrivals. I can see 2 planes at the moment, 3. A NetJets Embraer Phenom 300, but that's a business jet and it's going to land on the small runway, the Schiphol Oostbaan. Most likely first to arrive over here is KLM 602 coming in from LAX. That's a 787-10 Dreamliner, ETA 8 minutes. There's also an Embraer 190 coming in from Düsseldorf. That is flying in east of the Netherlands. More planes are underway, at the moment flying in Belgium. I can also see in the meantime that the Emirates A380 Super is now somewhere over central Germany. Still 41 minutes out, so between 12:30 and 12:45 is most likely when it's going to land. So at the moment we're waiting for our first next plane to arrive. In the distance we see traffic taxiing on the main platform area. There's a TUI Dreamliner by the looks of it. Here's the SAS 737 700 and an A330 from KLM. A nice farm here in the foreground. Meanwhile the Orange Pride, is it moving or is it just standing still? It looks to be standing still. Not sure if it's going to take off. From over here it's hard to see. Meanwhile the KLM flight 602, the 787-10 Dreamliner coming in from LAX, is coming closer and closer. ETA 5 minutes. Most likely going to be the first plane to arrive over here. And that's a 3-year-old plane. It was delivered in November 2019. Herbert asking who has more seats, KLM A33 or 787-10? I think it's probably the 787-10, but I'm not sure, I would have to say. So we're still looking at the well-known Orange Pride 777-300 from KLM. Doesn't seem to be moving. Also, it doesn't seem to be on a gate, so I don't know what's going to happen with it. Meanwhile, let me have a look around. Am I able to see anything in the distance just yet? But no, that's not the case. We'll have to wait a few more minutes before KLM flight 602 coming in from LAX will arrive. It probably has been seen depart by one of the streaming channels that have LAX as their base. Left 9 hours and 40 minutes ago. I was still fast asleep by then. I'm going to turn around the camera because I am now seeing the landing lights of the Dreamliner in the distance. Getting closer. Can you guys see it as well? Or do I need to zoom out a bit further? should be visible. Oh yeah, there it is. W. Witteman thinks it's on the buffer of the platform, referring to the Orange Pride 777. So the plane that we see arrive right now is KLM flight 602, coming in from LAX, Dreamliner 78710, 3 years old, delivered in November 2019, and it's been airborne now for 9 hours and almost 45 minutes. Number 2 is going to be KLM flight 1856. That is a city hopper from KLM coming in from Düsseldorf, Germany. Short flight. The plane departed 19 minutes ago. It's an Embraer 190. 13 years old, delivered in February 2010. ETA 5 minutes. First up, the Dreamliner, the biggest of the bunch. A very smooth landing. Now the next plane, the Embraer, coming in from Düsseldorf, is still flying base and is going to turn final in a few minutes, so we'll turn around the camera as soon as it becomes visible. And the Dreamliner now making its way over to the main platform area. All right. We're now awaiting the next plane. It's now turning final. It's KLM flight 1856. As I was saying, it's an Embraer 190 that left Düsseldorf 23 minutes ago. It's a 13-year-old plane. It was delivered in February 2010. am barely visible in the distance.
Papa! Welke land is dat?
Meanwhile, 2 more planes are making their way over here. They are currently flying in the area of The Hague and Rotterdam. It's an Embraer 190 from KLM coming in from Basel and an A320 coming in from Barcelona from Vueling. They're still out 20 minutes or so. 10 minutes. Let me see. 10 minutes. Can everybody hear me again and see me again? Don't know what happened. I think I lost communication. The connection went down for a second. Okay, I was aware that everything is working. Yeah, I was looking at my screen on my laptop screen, and I got the notification that the internet connection for some reason was disconnected. But I was able to press restart, and things seem to have resumed again. Looking at my wireless router, no issues there. So I have absolutely no idea what happened. Apologies for that. Hopefully things will stay proper and working. We're still waiting, of course, for the Emirates A380 Super that is making its way over here, currently flying over Germany, gradually coming this way. At the moment, we're waiting for the next plane to arrive. That will be KLM flight 1986 coming in from Basel in Switzerland. It's still 4 minutes out. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the next plane to arrive, let's have a look at the main platform area, see what's cooking. Look at that. The Orange Pride triple is on the move. And that seems to be a departure from 18 left. And you can clearly see now that the orange pride is being towed by the tow truck at the front landing gear. Meanwhile, the first plane is getting closer and closer. It's, as I was saying, KLM flight 1986. It's an Embraer 190 coming in from Basel. After having flown for almost an hour. It's a 12-year-old plane. It was delivered in March 2010. And it's being followed by a A320 from Vueling, flight 8309, coming in from Barcelona. After having been airborne for almost an hour and 45 minutes. It's an A320 that is 11 years old. It was delivered in September 2011. More planes are underway, but they are a bit sparse and not coming back to back, unfortunately. The Emirates A380 now flying over Münster, near the border with the Netherlands. Let's turn around the camera because I think that the flight from Basel is going to appear quickly. Somewhere in the distance. You can see on flight radar it's nearby. Can I see it? I can see it, in fact. Let's see. There it is. You can see it turning final as we speak. A silky smooth landing for the Embraer. I'm hoping that my video feed is still working properly. Jan saying I have a very slow upload. I hope that was only temporary. Looking here at all the data, it seems that everything is running just fine again. We're currently waiting for the next plane. It's going to be Vueling flight 8309 coming in from Barcelona. It's an 11-year-old plane. It was delivered in September 2011. Meanwhile, the Emirates Super has crossed the border and is now in Dutch airspace. And if I look further ahead, I can see that there are 2 more planes approaching from Aer Lingus, coming in from Dublin, and from KLM coming in from Bristol, still over the North Sea. Thomas, thank you for the feedback. Everything is good here. Well, hopefully it will stay that way. I have no idea what happened, why the internet connection went down. First time since I have been doing this, apart from the one time that the battery of my router was empty, but I have it on USB on my power supply at the moment, so that cannot be the cause this time. So we're starting to see the next plane gradually coming over here. The Vueling A320 coming in from Barcelona. Am I able to focus on it? I think it's still too small for my camera to pick up and focus on.
Ik wil ook even ergens zitten, maar overal is het bezet. Daar is niet bezet. Wel.
Laura, still watching. Thank you so much for sticking around. We're waiting for the next plane. The A320 from Vueling coming in from Barcelona. And we're also waiting for the Emirates A380 Super flight 147. The daily flight, ETA 20 minutes. Fingers crossed that it's going to come this way. It's an 8-year-old plane, was delivered in April 2014. The Super, that is. We will be seeing 2 more planes land before it that are now over to the west, over the North Sea. Meanwhile, the A320 is becoming visible better and better. Let me see if I can zoom in maximally on it right now. By the looks of it, my camera seems to be able to maintain focus on it. When I don't screw around with the tripod. Another soft landing, one of the many we've seen so far today. No wonder, of course, with the wind being so calm as it is. It's a mirror, you can see. While the weather isn't very inviting, being overcast all day, it's not cold. 7 or 8 degrees centigrade, around 45 degrees Fahrenheit. We are waiting for the next plane to arrive. That is most likely going to be Aer Lingus flight 604 coming in from Dublin. That's an A320-200, 15 years old, delivered in November 2007. Still over the North Sea. There's also a Dreamliner coming in from Atlanta, 787-10, KLM flight 622, still in the North Sea. ETA 18 minutes. More is definitely underway. But things are a little bit slow at the moment. I'm also looking to the left to see if maybe I can already see the plane approach. It's not the case. Still too far out. Meanwhile, we can see the plane we saw land just now. Taxi towards the main platform area in the distance. You would think on a Sunday there would be more traffic, but it has died down a little bit, unfortunately. The flight coming in from Dublin is getting closer and closer. I am unable to see it just yet in the distance. Here we can see the Vueling A320 taxiing towards the gate. It's now on the main platform area. Probably has a gate on the other side of the platform, so it has to taxi around the main buildings probably. Well, maybe its gate is closer by than I thought. Meanwhile, the A320 from Aer Lingus is almost turning final. I'm looking to see if I can spot it already visually. Not yet. I will turn around the camera because it won't be long before it becomes visible. That I know for sure. Now, after that, KLM flight 1056 is going to come in after that. That's an Embraer 190 in the Sky Team livery. Coming in from Bristol after a 45-minute flight. That's a 10-year-old plane. It was delivered in April 2012. And to remind you once again, the A320 from Aer Lingus coming in as number 1 is 15 years old. It was delivered in November 2007. Most likely the Emirates A380 Super is going to be number 3, because I do see it coming this way and it's not going to land on runway 27. That I can already tell. So fingers crossed that the internet connection is going to remain stable as it has been so far. With the one exception of earlier today. Now it is more crowded here than usual. A lot of folks in the vicinity. Maybe that interferes with the reception of my wireless router. Who knows? I don't know for sure. It's the first time that the disconnect happened. So hopefully it will have been a one-off occurrence. Meanwhile, the 320 is becoming visible and getting closer. Lights are on. The Embraer coming in from Bristol, not yet visible. At least I'm unable to see it. Of course, the Emirates A380 Super is coming closer and closer as well. It's going to come from the right. Not yet, but it will in a few minutes. Meanwhile, coming in from the left is the next plane, the Sky Team livery Emirates Embraer KLM flight 1056 in the Sky Team livery. And the Emirates A380 is also coming closer and closer. But first, these two planes. Silky smooth landing of the Aer Lingus A320. We have seen a few planes that were banking left and right just before touching down. Not this one. You can see that despite the fact that the water here is still, if you look at the fumes in the distance, there does seem to be a little bit of wind, just a little. Nothing too significant. Is that, no, that's not the Schiphol scarecrows in the distance. Now, question is, are we able to see the Emirates just yet? It is getting closer and closer by, and it will become visible eventually, coming in from the right hand side of the screen. Well, let's quickly go over to the Embraer for a second. In the Sky Team livery, of course. Well, I'm happy to say that my mount seems to, my tripod seems to be tracking smooth again, left to right. Now, let's quickly turn around the camera. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. The Emirates A380 Super is turning final. And dear Wi-Fi God, please don't break up the internet connection. The Emirates A380 Super flight 147 departed from Dubai 6.5 hours ago. It's an 8-year-old plane. It was delivered in April 2014. It's in the normal standard Emirates livery. And it's going to be followed by a big bird of different sorts. The Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner KLM Flight 622 coming in from Atlanta. After 7 hours and 20 minutes of flight. A 2-year-old plane delivered in December 2020. First up, the Emirates Super. You can see on the left hand a crowd has gathered. Also behind me the same. Many people wanting to see this behemoth land in person. Folks, if you're enjoying this stream and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me reach more people like you and me who like content like this. Also, it allows you the opportunity to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live again in the future, you guys get a heads up and you can join me if you have the time for it and feel like doing so. Here she comes.
Wat is daar dan? En daar.
And she's back home in time with a bit dirty flaps. They look a bit smudgy, but the landing was better. And now she needs to taxi back to the gate. Now, let me turn around the camera because our next plane is also approaching quickly. It is a 787-10. Coming in from Atlanta, 2-year-old plane delivered in December 2020 and ready to touch down in a few seconds. Bit wobbly. Otherwise, a very smooth landing. Meanwhile, the Emirates A380 making its way over to the main platform area.
Hey, dat was een mooie landing, hè? Die andere was een grote. Groot, hè? Dat was een grote. Zit dit al?
Here having to cross the main canal of the Haarlemmermeer in a moment. You can see the bridge construction. The planes pass over water. A canal. Also a good place to see the planes taxi right in front of you. Easily accessible by bike or by car. You can see a car coming under the bridge and now vanishing in the left hand side of the screen. And the the Dreamliner is following suit as a plane takes off in the distance. Oh, it's already past the control tower. There it is. Following the A380. So there are a few more planes coming in. First up is an A320 from Top Air Portugal, coming in from Lisbon. After that, the Transavia flight from Alicante. There's also an A319 from EasyJet coming in from Naples. And there is a Boeing 767 from LATAM Cargo coming in from Miami. ETA 5 minutes. Let me turn around the camera. The first of the aforementioned planes is already coming closer. You can see it in the distance.
Nee, kun je het geen luchtmotor.
Dat is een 3 dubbel. Dit gaat er niet meer uit. Zet het tussen. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 meter.
Gives me time to take a sip of water.
Schip. Daar is het dan niet doen. 1, 2, 3. Nu 3 op.
Now the two vehicles are moving this way. They are not bird controllers. Don't know what they are, but we will see if they pass us by before the plane lands, because then we can have a look more closely. Bono asking if the place where you can get French fries is also there. Well, it's a bit further back. I'm not standing at the official Spottersplaats. A bit further towards the runway threshold. So TR. No idea what they are. Maybe somebody does know and can chime in. They're not bird controllers, that's for sure. The next plane coming in. Wind still calm, as you can see in the water. Top Air Portugal. Well, it's been a while since we saw several planes in one shot, but it's actually true. It's been a while. Camera still needs a bit of foreground to remain focused. In fact, we can see three planes, one in the foreground and two in the background. The plane in the foreground is Transavia flight 6144 coming in from Alicante, a 737-800, 12 years old, delivered in April 2010. Number 2 is EasyJet flight 24891. It's an A319 coming in from Naples and is 16 years old, was delivered in March 2006. In the distance, number 3 is the LATAM Cargo 767. Stick around for the LATAM Cargo. You don't get to see the 767 that often anymore, unfortunately, these days. Now, quickly going back. LATAM Cargo visible in the distance. Camera still has a bit of difficulty. Now it should maintain focus. The object is big enough. familiar sight. EasyJet Airbus softly touching down. Alright, let's turn around the camera because the 767 from LATAM Cargo is getting closer. Coming in from Miami, Florida. It's the 767-300ER. The plane is 14 years old. It was delivered in May 2008. It is almost touching down and is being followed by an Embraer 190 from KLM coming in from Milan, and after that we will be seeing a Saudia Dreamliner coming in from Jeddah. Herbert asking if KLM had the 767. Good question. If they did, it has been a long time ago because I cannot recall that they did have them. They did have MD-11s. I cannot recall if they had 767s back in the day. To be honest, don't think they did. Now I can see that runway 27 is also in use again. A few planes are heading out that way, but we will be seeing a 777 from Qatar coming in from Doha first. So even though not all traffic is going to come this way, we will be seeing the heavies coming in the next few minutes. Nice shot of the bird controllers together with the plane. The plane is going to overtake the car any minute. Nice shot of them together. And now no longer. Alright. First up is the Dreamliner coming in from Jeddah. After that we will see the 777 from Qatar coming in from Doha. Kuni checking Wikipedia. That's always better than me guessing. That must have been some time ago, because I really cannot remember having seen them back in the day. Maybe I just more vividly remember the MD-11s because of the way they looked. So this plane that we see approach at the moment is a 777 cargo flight from Qatar Airways coming in from Doha after a 6-hour and 10-minute flight. 8 years old, this plane, and by the looks of it in the Qatar World Cup livery, delivered in June 2014. It's being followed by an Air France A319 and a Ryanair 737. For those of you who just joined us, welcome to the stream. This is AMS Live. My name is Boy, and this is the Polderbaan, where this 777 is about to touch down. Lovely livery, although by now a thing of the past, of course, the World Cup. And there is the Saudia plane gradually taxiing towards the main platform area. Let me have a look, see what's coming up. Small planes. There's still a 777-200 from KLM coming in from Guayaquil. Five or so. As you can see, the weather is calm. It's about 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. That's 45 or so degrees Fahrenheit. There's hardly any wind. A lot of people are out today with their children, having a look at the planes. Earlier we saw the Daily Emirates A380 Super touchdown. Now we're waiting for Air France 1640 A319 coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle, 16 years old. Very smooth landing. Runway vacated. Speed brakes are going to lower any minute now. Meanwhile, a 15-year-old Ryanair 737 coming in from Dublin, about to touchdown. Also smoothly done. More planes coming up. There are two visible in the distance. The first one being an A320neo from Vueling, flight 1377 coming in from Alicante. That's a 3-year-old plane. It was delivered in August 2019, and behind it is an A319 from British Airways coming in from London Heathrow. The plane being 22 years old and delivered in November 2000. In the foreground, the British Airways A319 from London Heathrow. After that, number 2, KLM flight 1444 coming in from Aberdeen. That's 737-700, 13 years old, delivered in January 2010. And after that, not yet visible, but soon to be, the number 3 is going to be KLM flight 751 coming in from Guayaquil after almost 11 hours of flight. 777-200 ER, 18 years old, delivered in March 2004. And I think that is going to be the last plane that I'm going to follow for today. lovely long flare. Another excellent display of pilot showmanship and skill. Now in the distance visible the 777 from Guayaquil. And for me it's going to be the last plane of the day.
Yeah. Are we gonna go home now? Kijk, later kunnen ze tosti in dat ding. In dat ding. We hebben geen broodrooster. Kan wel.
Gradually creeping closer and closer. KLM flight 751, almost 11 hours in the air. An 18-year-old 777-200ER. It was delivered in March 2004. And it's ready to touch down any minute. Thanks everybody for joining me again today. I've had a blast once again. Pity about the internet connection dying momentarily. Hopefully that was a one-off occurrence. If you like what you saw, please give the stream a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you want to help me reach more people like you and me who like content like this. It really helps to feed the algorithm and promote this content to other people like you and me. Also, by subscribing you can turn on notifications so that whenever I go live in the future you guys get a heads up. So if you have the time and are in for it, you can join us again in a future stream. This is it for me for now for today. Hope to see you all again soon. Take care, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and see you guys soon.